It's me, Cappy. My mommy is the best. Superman will be next. She helps mommy. It looks my back. Your dick goes back. And this might go back. You wait for the straw. Brush. Get ready for Pet Super Scrubby. Pet Super Scrub.
Welcome to Healing for the Soul podcast, sponsored by Supermom Robin Stoltman, where every week I feature different guests to empower you to become the best version of yourself through different methods you may not have heard of or even thought of. If you are ever looking for a virtual assistant, I highly recommend Sphere Rocket to delegate any business-related tasks like grow your social medias, book appointments, and much more that all businesses require, boosting your sales, productivity, and much more. The link to Sphere Rocket is at the bottom of this episode. This is season number 6, episode number 39. Today I have my guest, Kang. He is an author, a life learner, and wellness advocate who helps people build strength physically, mentally, and spiritually through discipline and daily action. After walking through his wife's cancer battle, job loss, and financial hardship, DK now shares practical tools for turning setbacks into fuel for health, healing, and personal growth. And today we're talking about from rock bottom to reframed, finding setbacks in strengths. Thank you so much, DK, for being here. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show. It's an honor.
Well, I want to know, that's a lot to have your wife go through cancer, and then not only just like cancer alone, that's a major life stress. I'm just saying, like, it just is. But then job loss and financial hardship. It's how do you keep finding that strength in those setbacks to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, so for if you don't know my story, for your listener, January 2024, my wife gets diagnosed with breast cancer. In February 2024, she's basically going to be starting chemotherapy and cancer treatments. And when you hear the word cancer, your world is turned upside down because it's a lot of unknowns. But then, I'm reading this book called The Breast Cancer Husband. As I'm finishing it, the book basically says, hey, like, be there for your wife, all of her appointments, things like that. And then the book also says to, hey, let your employer know what's kind of going on and to ask for a more flexible work schedule. And so, for me, I was pretty reluctant to tell my employers, but I set up a meeting February 1st and said, hey, like, my wife has cancer and I would like to be at all her appointments. And if I need to stay late or work weekends, I'm willing to do that. They said, yeah, that's fine. And then a week after I disclosed that, they decided to lay me off. And so at this point, my wife has already quit her job because she's going to be starting, chemo treatments and things like that. And so, the month of February is like, oh, okay, it's a shock. Job loss is a big setback. It's a big circumstance that you don't have control of. And so, So faith is a big part of my life, my wife and I's life as well. So that night when I got laid off, we prayed, but instead of asking the question, why is this happening to us? Like, why does my wife have cancer? Why did I lose my job? Things like that. We had to reframe it to, all right, God, why not us? And the follow-up question was, well, who can we help down the line or in the future because of all the things that we're going through? And so I think the reframing part really helped us instead of just looking at us as like, oh, we're the victim. And, so as we're just doing cancer research, we came up a book called Crispy Cancer. And if you don't know his story, really quick, he was like 26 years old, went into the ER for abdominal pain. Doctor comes back, says, hey, you have stage 3 colon cancer. You have about 6 to 8 months to live. You might be here if you do, the conventional chemo, radiation, surgery, things like that. He actually just did the surgery, opted out, everything else, changed his diet, and reversed his cancer. And he's a big advocate for cancer now. So after reading that book, he talks about, a whole food, plant-based diet and how, the standard American diet which is, it spells sad. It's all the processed foods. It's all the, standard American diet spells sad. Yeah, it's very sad.
I never heard of that. So it's sad or fad? F like as in Frank, or S as in sad?
S as in a sad. So standard American diet. So standard American diet.
I never heard of that before. That the phrase of that. So that's why I was like, what?
It's very sad because the United States, in America, we eat very processed foods. Everything's ultra processed. Everything's fast food, sugary drinks, and that leads to cancers. That leads to obesity. That leads to obesity leads to heart disease, and heart disease with autoimmune diseases. The list goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And so he's an advocate. Chris' work for his book was a whole food plant-based diet to repair and get your body in that nutritional state of healing. And so, that's something that we had to learn because we didn't know anything about cancer. And if you look at studies today in cancer is about 5% genetics, and the rest of the 95% is lifestyle. It's your stress, it's the foods that you're eating, it's your environment, like the chemicals around us. Like we here in the United States, we still use like red 40 dye and like a bunch of different chemicals in foods that Europe doesn't use. And all those chemicals leads to cancer. And so as we're doing all this research and changing our diet, there was a point after I got laid off, I'm just journaling and I'm trying to figure things out because I'm like, we have a cancer diagnosis, we have job loss, no income, and I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, and I feel stuck. And so I started journaling just some thoughts down, and then that question came back of who can we help when we're praying. And so my journaling turned into a book because I'm like, I can't be the only person in the world that's feeling stressed and overwhelmed or feeling stuck. And so I'm like, I know there's other people out there that are going through some crazy stuff. And so so the journaling turned into a book, and the book is called Mindset Metamorphosis, and it's basically how to deal with stress, how to deal with feeling overwhelmed and feeling stuck, where life is just beating you up. And I talk about having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset in my book. A fixed mindset is like, hey, I've been working at this job for 25 years. I know what I'm doing. There's nothing else to learn. Versus a growth mindset is like, hey, like I'm always willing to learn. And that's what we had to do. We had that growth mindset of learning about cancer, learning about nutrition, and and seeing who has done it, who has beat cancer, and what did they do, and let's follow what they did. And so my book it's about taking action for your life. We could have easily been like, hey, we're victims and woe is us and life is terrible, but like, no, we had to reframe it. And I talk about reframing in my book, and we had to learn and grow in the things that we're trying to do. And so I think the growth mindset helped us to kind of be that, going from rock bottom and seeing what the future could hold for us. Because for me, I never thought I would have wrote a book. I never thought I would have been on a podcast. And I think those are tools and things to help people that I never thought of or foresaw without what we went through.
Yeah. And your story is one of those that it's hard, and at the same time you're turning it into a positive. But there isn't very many people that have that ability to do that. And for me, I see that as very courageous that you have that ability, that you are doing, because as you were listing like the things that you did, that you prayed and then you said, who can I help, instead of being the woe is me, like what you had said. And it's like, that's one of the first things that we're taught in NLP for neuro-linguistic programming, is model the person that you want to be like. And you had said that's exactly what you did. You went out and you found out who survived this. What can we do differently? And you used all those different tools to accomplish that, which is awesome. and you're still going through that struggle. Because you've got your wife. Has she been cancer free now?
Yeah. So her treatment was a year long. So it's from February 2024 to February 2025 to February 2025. So yes, my wife is, as of now, cancer free, but she is on surveillance for the next 2 years because it was an aggressive cancer. And so, she's going to still be seeing her doctors on a regular basis for the next 2 years. But with cancer treatments, things like that led to other things. Like she ended up developing cataracts. So she got cataract surgery recently, like the last 6 weeks ago now was the last eye. And then that led to cancer treatments that led to nerve damage. So she's seeing an ortho for that, for nerve damage. And so, yeah, I mean, we're still going through it. And, so something that I'm really trying to advocate for people is, people are like, I don't have time to meditate, or I don't have time to exercise, or I don't have time to change my diet. But here's the reality of how much one chemo treatment cost. And so there was a point where my wife started chemotherapy, but I lost my job, so we had no health insurance at a point. And we get one chemo treatment for one is we get a bill for $80,000. And so my question is, if you don't have time to change your diet, change your stress levels, change, your lifestyle around, you're not going to have time for cancer. You're not going to have time for an $80,000 bill. And luckily, I made a lot of phone calls. We ended up getting Cobra insurance, and it kicked in. And so we didn't pay them $80,000, but we still had a high premium and high deductible with Cobra. But, cancer is very prevalent nowadays, and that's due from our stress. That's due from, because we live in America where everything is a high pace, everything is on your phone, emailing, social media, and we're bombarded. And so my book is a way to kind of help people, like, hey, let's shut down electronics. Let's start building some sleep habits. Let's just add some walking into your life. Get some sunlight. Walk around the block. To get some exercise. Exercise is good. There's so many scientific studies on exercise and how it deals with stress and your hormones and things like that. And so, yeah, my book is just basically about hey, start small, but start making those lifestyle changes and taking action. Even if you say, you don't have time, but make the time, because you're going to make time for if you get cancer. I mean, my wife had to, I had to, and, your world is turned upside down. And so, yeah, I mean, with cancer, there's a lot of side effects that goes with it. We're still in the thick of it. I mean, I didn't have a job from February 2024 to December 2024. So it was about 10 months. So we racked up medical bills, but living expenses, and that came up to $60,000 worth of debt. And so, yeah, we're still in it, but, I just want to help people, and I just want people to start hey, waking up, our time is limited. When we heard the word cancer, we didn't know if hey, my wife's going to survive for another year, or if it's just going to be, 5 years. Time is very limited, and we think we have time, but we don't have time. Start making the most of your life, because you got one mind, one body, and one life. For me, I always think about if you had one car in your life, how would you treat it? If you only got one car,
you treat it really good. You treat it like the best ever. You make sure that you went to appointments. Not the appointments necessarily for a car, but you make sure that you went and did the checkups. You did all the stuff for it.
It's the same with life. We have one body, one mind and one life. What are we going to do with it? I'm hoping that we'll treat it the best that we can. But so many of us is just oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I don't need that, and and then those little things starts adding up, and then the stress is just so much, and then we get all these diseases. So yeah, so for me, I'm just trying to help people and say, hey, take some action and really take care of your life, take care of your body. So.
Well, that's a good thing though, because like you said, we think that we have time. Yeah. And it's not until you get something that's life shattering that it really just like you wake up and you're like, what the hell happened? You know, so to speak. And it's like, okay, well, I can blame God, which most people do. I'm one of them that used to blame God myself for things. And I'm just like, okay, but it's until you confront the person staring back at the mirror that's like, nope, you're the reason you got yourself here.
Yeah.
You were born into this world with every resource you needed. Quit blaming God. And it's just one of those things that it's just like, it's challenging at times. So I know, like, you didn't blame God in this, the way it sounds.
No.
So it's like, how do you just not be mad at God, like during this?
Yeah.
Like you've gone through the infertility, the job loss, the cancer. How do you not blame God for it?
Yeah, you know, so for me, like, you know, like I said, faith is a big part. So a part of my morning routine, and I talk about morning routines in my book, but something that I do is, you know, I get up, I read the Bible, I read God's word. And for me, you know, I look at people in the Bible. I look at Job and all the things that Job went through, and not once did he, you know, curse God or blame God. You know, everything got taken away from him. He got sicknesses, illnesses. He lost all his money. He lost all his property, things like that. And not
his
once.
Children. His children in his life too.
Yeah, lost his children as well. I mean, he lost everything. And so for me, it gives me perspective of like, wow, there's someone else out there that has it worse than I do. And, you know, look at Jesus. I mean, he suffered a brutal death that I'm not going to go through. And so for no apparent reason, you know, and so, yeah, for me, it always gives me perspective to learn about people's history, people's stories. And because whatever I'm going through is nothing compared to someone halfway around the world where they're starving. And so it always gives me that perspective of like, okay, yeah, God is still in control. God is still good. And, you know, the Bible says, I think Jesus says this in John or something. He says, in this world you'll have trouble, but take heart, you know, I have overcome the world. You know, and so, yeah, like, for me, it's almost like, okay, I'm kind of expecting that trouble. I don't know what kind of trouble, whether it be financial, whether it be health, whether it be not having children, whatever it is, it's like, okay, yeah, there's going to be trouble. And so there's no reason for me to blame God just because I don't think God is causing all this. It's a lot. And again, it's taking ownership, you know, for our lives. And I think, I feel like if we just kind of blame everybody or blame something, or that kind of detaches us from actually having that ownership for our own lives. And so, you know, I just think about like, that's, it's very profound, because whenever you're trying to do something, you can't just sit back and like, oh, just gonna let life happen or whatever. You know, if you read a book and not do anything, and then say you blame the book for not getting you the business or the wealth, but you're not taking action, well then how's that logical to blame the book when the book laid out a step-by-step process, but you just didn't do anything? So I think for me, it's just like, yeah, like taking that action and having that ownership for my own life and for my own circumstances and situations. So, yeah.
I started laughing there a little bit when I was thinking about how I've heard so many people be mad when they've read the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Or The Science of Getting Rich. And I'm like, the reason why you're not rich is because you're not following the plan.
Yeah.
You have to know with definite 100% what it is that you want and what you're willing to give in return for it.
Yeah.
And until you have that, well, then you're just going to spin like your wheels on things. But that's like the number one thing that I've heard about people being mad about the book. And that's the only book I've heard people be mad at other than the Bible. And it's like, but if you do what it says and you apply it, you can't just read it. You got to actually apply it. It's like, then it works.
Yeah.
Like I'm still finding that with a lot of the things with the Bible, that still is like, wow. Like sometimes, like, I don't know if you've ever dealt with it, but it's like sometimes it's like you experience a spiritual attack.
Oh yeah.
And you you experience them and it's like, I just want this to go away. So one of the things I started saying was in Matthew 4:10, which is when Jesus was speaking, or he spoke to the devil to tell him to leave him alone. And he literally says, Matthew 4:10, go away, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God and serve him only. And that was in the 40 days that he was
fasting.
Yeah.
And up on the mountaintop, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought the first thing was interesting is in that was about how he used food. Like the devil seriously thought he could tempt Jesus with food.
Yeah.
But it's because he was without it for 40 days and 40 nights. Yeah. And I was like, there's the prodigal son. Didn't he give up didn't one of them give up their birthright or something like that for food or something it was? Remember, there's one of the stories that also like they did that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like at the same time, it's like we're giving up our birthright by blaming God for the problem instead of looking at the responsibility. Because that's one of the things I was thinking is the ownership. How much has that helped you in your life, you think, going through these different challenges?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's helped me a ton. I mean, so for me, I've done martial arts all my life. And, you don't just become a black belt in a day, or, you don't just become a black belt just by buying a black belt. I mean, I guess maybe you can, but you don't have the actual skills to back it up. And so that's when you have to apply it. That's when you have to take ownership of it. There's so much that you can only learn in the classroom, but my instructor once told me when I was really young, he's like, every time you walk in that door, you're a white belt. And I had to think about that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, can't you see I'm a black belt? But he didn't mean like the physical, but he meant the mentality of like, hey, as you walk in that door, be a life learner. You don't have all the answers. Be humble and be willing, be teachable. Basically, is what he was saying. And so, like, to kind of go back to your question. I'm sorry, what was your question again about?
For the ownership, how has it helped you?
Yeah. Outside of like classroom, there's only so much you can learn. So I had to take ownership of my own training and develop like outside of that. And same thing with life. There's things that are going to be unexpected. And, I feel like the blame game is like the very easy route to do. And nobody wants to take that ownership. And so, it's kind of like when people do the easy way out. I'm going to go back to martial arts. When kicks and punches are coming at your face, literally with martial arts, and you're like sparring, right? They are. It's the same with life. When those, metaphorically, those kicks or punches are coming at you, whether it be a cancer diagnosis, a job loss, most people want to run away. And here's an example where, I was pretty much at all my wife's appointments for her cancer journey. A lot of the medical staff like just pulled me aside one day, like after 4 or 5 months of treatments, and they were just thinking, like, they just said to me, like, hey, like, we are really inspired by you, and we really acknowledge the fact that you're here with your wife going through cancer treatment. We know that it's scary. And they told me this, that most husbands, about 80%, when they hear the word cancer, they file for divorce, they drop their wife off, and then just leave at the cancer treatments, and they just like don't want to do anything with it. And so they're blaming their wife of like, hey, you got cancer, you deal with it, and I'm not going to be by your side. And as these medical staff were telling me this, I was just like, I was really blown away. I'm like, wow, like people just walked away and just ran away because that's the easy thing to do, and they didn't want to take ownership for it. So for me, when those kicks or punches are coming at you, because I've done martial arts so long that I just faced it head on, whether it be metaphorically or in life. And so for me, I just said, hey, I'm just gonna face this cancer head on. I'm gonna be there for my wife because the breast cancer husband book told me to do this, and I'm like, and I already made up in my mind that I'm gonna be there for my wife anyway, no matter what. So I think that it's just, people want the easy way out, and the easy way out is to blame someone, to blame a certain thing, and just run away instead of actually facing it head on and pulling through on the other side, because that's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you had said that about for the stat for the 80%, because I actually was wondering, like one of the classmates I had, she was 29. I went to her funeral and she had stage 4 breast cancer, but her husband had left her, had divorced her when they found out about cancer. And I was like, what kind of loser? That was like the first thing I thought, is like the person, when they leave somebody, they're a loser. Like, why would you do that? The vows, last time I checked, when I got married, were the same as what they've always been, is until death do we part. Yeah.
But
so I think that's amazing, though, that you just you stayed there.
Yeah, it blew my mind that the medical staff said, it's like 80% of men just bail out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like really? That's very shocking to me. But again, it's the easy way out, and they don't want to deal with it. So
yeah, well, that's why I said that was the first thing that I was thinking of, like when my classmate, like I said, and it was hard for me as a classmate. Like I knew her, but I didn't, because it had been years since high school. But I mean, like, still, it's one of those things. It's just like, how could you just leave somebody like during their most hardest time in their life? It's like, that's when you need to be closer to somebody. That's the other thing I was going to ask too. Like, how's your relationship with God grown as a result of this? Because I'm sure it's grown a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I can't do this alone, honestly. We're humans, not meant to do life alone. I mean, even Book of Genesis, look at Adam. God created Eve because he's like, you need a suitable helper. And I think especially for men, I think they need to have all the answers, or they need to be solo and do everything they can. Like, I relied on community. I relied on God, because I mean, what is it? Philippians says, I can do all things
through Christ who gives me strength.
Yeah. And so there's nothing that I can do by myself. And when I do something by myself, there's no wisdom in that. It's my own understanding and my own wisdom behind that. And so, I mean, my relationship with God is stronger than ever before. There's Book of Proverbs. Book of Proverbs is all about wisdom, right?
Yes, it is.
One of the scriptures that comes to mind says, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. Those beautiful treasures, it could be children, it could be that relationship with your wife, it could be, Christ as the center of the household. But we need that wisdom with God, and without it, the world falls apart, because everybody has their own agenda. I mean, you look at politics. I mean, God, I'm not trying to get into politics, but everywhere around the world, politics is corrupt, and because there's no wisdom by God. It's human wisdom, and that's why we go to wars. That's why we fight and shed blood, and we don't care, because it's our own understanding. And so for me, my relationship with God has definitely strengthened through all of this, for sure.
Yeah, and I like what you said about like the politics part of it too, because I'm like, there's a lot of people that just fight on either side, and I'm like, you guys are missing the whole point. The point is that we need to have God centered first. I think that's where the marriages fall apart then too, like when the wife or the husband does get the cancer diagnosis. Is because they did not have that strong, firm foundation first. So in all of this, in the world that like what we had said earlier, you had said about, and it is true about this hustle culture that we have here in the U.S. And it is sad about the diet. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm like, it really is. But it's like, you think about that, the hustle and then the diet, and it's like people are headed for shorter lifespans. Because I've had a couple people say we've been living longer than ever, and I'm like, no, we have not. You go back to the builder and the boomer generation. Not so much the boomer generation, but like the builder generation, the ones that built America, literally, they lived the longest. They lived 80, 90, 100 years. 120 is the max that God allowed on us. But I mean, like, still, it's like, even at that, it's like their diets were different. I think that's actually the only thing that's different. if person, what's your take on that?
I would say yes, diet is different based on soil levels, but everything today is processed. But also the pharmacy is huge right now.
True.
Because you take a pill, you have a side effect, 20 different side effects, and then you have to take another pill to counteract that side effect.
Side effect for a side effect.
But back in the 20s, they didn't have a lot of pharmacies. The doctor sat with you and went through head to toe, like, hey, what's going on? And then here's some home remedies, or hey, here's some, you just need to rest and you'll be better. But now it's just like, pop a pill for this, pop a pill for that, pop a pill for this, that. And there's so many side effects that we don't even know causes from these, manufactured pills. And
no.
Cancer today, there's more cancer today than there was 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm like, it has to be coming from the food, not just the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a huge factor of it. Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the history.
Yeah, but definitely food, because the food nowadays is manufactured, and like, what is something that you're eating that you can't even say, and what kind of chemicals is it?
That's what I was actually wondering. Like, if the food that we can't pronounce, if it's like we can't pronounce it, I'm to the point, it must be dangerous, because if I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, it's not even real food. Yeah.
No, so that's like, I was looking at the stuff on the back of the package. It said bioengineered food ingredient, and I was like, why? What is this bioengineered thing that I'm eating? Why do I need it? What's in it? Can I find something else?
Yeah.
That's where I've been at now, because I'm like, maybe this bioengineered, I have no clue what it even means. I just know that there's something chemically that's not supposed to be there. That's the only thing that I do know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know you have a cookbook as well that you had mentioned. So you've got 2 books, actually. You've got 2? Or are you working on a third one, or is it just the 2 right now?
I have the 2 right now. I'm working on a third book. Yeah, to kind of go back to the hustle question, I do talk about in my mindset book about let's do some mindful eating. Eat an apple, shut down, don't check your email, don't watch TV, just eat that apple, chew slowly, and really be mindful of where it came from, how it's, tasting in your mouth, how it's going down into your throat, into your stomach. And, don't just chew 2 times, but chew 20 times, because it'll give your stomach and your digestive system a break, because we live in a whole hustle culture where I need to stuff this burrito down while I'm checking email or driving to work, and it takes me 2-3 bites to eat it. But that's so hard on the digestive system, and it's like your stomach is trying to break down a piece of coal. But what if you pound it down into where it's mechanically in your mouth, where it's smaller pieces? Your stomach will actually enjoy it. And there's a time where there's a delay from your stomach to your brain. It's about 20 minutes. And if you just take about 20 minutes to eat something, kind of see how you feel about it, instead of just I'm going to eat until I'm stuffed. When you're feeling stuffed, that means you're over full. There's a rule in the Japanese culture, they stop eating when they feel 80% full. So that it gives their gut, their stomach, to signal their brain saying, hey, I'm actually full. But they stopped at 80%. But Japanese are one of the healthiest people in the world. Why is that? I mean, it's their diet, but it's also their mindful eating of it. And so, just thinking about the hustle, let's slow down. Slow down our eating, slow down on, even shutting down electronics, on going to sleep. If you think about here in the United States, we do a time change, right? Forward, fall back. And if you look at the statistics behind it, there's more car accidents and more heart attacks the day after we do a time change. So on Sunday morning, because we changed it to an hour forward or an hour back or whatever, there's more accidents on the road. There's more heart attacks, and that's just an hour. Think about what we do with our own life on a day-to-day basis of, I'm going to stay up till midnight, but I need to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or I need to check emails before I go to bed. But with that blue light, it triggers something saying, hey, it's still daylight, be up. That raises your stress hormones, that raises your cortisol, and just your sleep pattern. And so as it multiplies, one day, like, hey, I missed an hour of sleep. Next day, oh, I missed 30 minutes. And then by the end of the week, you're just so tired, you're lacking 6-7 hours throughout the week of sleep. Well, your brain and your body is just not going to be functioning. So, in my book, I say, hey, shut down all electronics an hour before bed. If you go to bed at 9 o'clock, start shutting it down at 8. Read a book, meditate, journal, do something like that where it activates your brain instead of watching Netflix or YouTube or social media, because then you're going to be up till midnight and you can't sleep. And so that disrupts that sleep pattern. And so, sorry, I forgot what your question was.
No,
hustle.
No, it's all right, because
you're talking about books. Yeah.
And I know too that I'm glad you brought that up about the social media. That's why I was giving you the thumbs up, because I'm like, yes, because I'm a huge advocate of shutting the electronics down an hour, 2 hours before you go to bed, just staying away from it, because all it does to the subconscious mind then, because that's the one that runs the program, runs everything we do in life, is it just, whatever you focused on last, negative or positive, you don't know which one, but the brain does. And then that's all it thinks about the entire night. And then as soon as you wake up, if you're on your phone, the first thing you see is you have Facebook or something else. Yeah. And it's like your brain catches that, and then it thinks about it all day long. And it's like, that would solve the depression, the anxiety, all of the problems that people supposedly have. And it's like, it's your lifestyle. That's all it is.
Yep.
Because I was even thinking about, like, as you were talking about, like, for like people with depression, they claim they have depression. Well, depression, a person could say that it's not even real because it's based on, again, your lifestyle. Yeah. What are you eating? Are you exercising? Chances are no, because if you exercise, the depression goes away. Yeah. Kind of like I've had acid reflux. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I got rid of that naturally. Like, I'm not on any pills for it anymore. Because I'd ask somebody, like, how do you get rid of it? And then they told me, and I'm like, oh, all I have to do is just change my diet. So that's all I did, and it healed itself. Yep. Like, the entire problem is, like, I don't deal with it anymore. And it's amazing. But it's like, it goes back to the diet. So that's where I'm thinking, too. How does, like, the Korean diet, because your book is based on the Korean lifestyle, or just, like, the diet part of it, how is that different than, say, other, like the sad diet we got here?
Right. Yeah. So I remember your other question was, you were talking about books, right? How many books?
Yes. If you're writing a third one. Yeah.
So my first book is Mindset Metamorphosis. Is about change your mindset, taking action for your life. The next one is called the Kimchi Connection Cookbook. And so kind of give you a backstory on that. I grew up in Missouri, kind of middle of nowhere. My parents owned a Chinese Korean restaurant. So I grew up eating basically Korean food, basically breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that was my normal. And then in 2016, I moved to Texas. I wanted to get some kimchi, but I didn't know how to make it. So I just bought some store-bought kimchi. And if you don't know anything about kimchi, it's a fermented food that basically, fermented foods help with probiotics, helps with your gut health, and it helps seal like a leaky gut because of all the probiotics, reduces inflammation because of all the minerals and vitamins that you get from like the vegetables. There's a lot of fiber in it. So I bought a jar, and it was in a plastic container, and it did not taste very good. Like, it tasted very like a lot of chemicals. Like, it just tastes like it was something from like manufactured. And so I went back to Missouri, learned from my mom how to actually make it. And then I brought it back to Texas. I made it. I would bring it for my lunches at work. And then my coworkers would ask me like, hey, what is that? Can I try some? And I was like, oh yeah, it's kimchi. You know, for me, I grew up on it. And my coworkers were like, oh, I'm curious to try it. And so they tried it. They liked it. They're like, oh, can I buy a jar from you? And I'm like, I'm not really selling it, but sure, like, you can buy a jar. And then that one person told another person, then they told another person, and so forth. And so I'm just kind of making and selling kimchi at my workplace to, a few people. But the question always came back of, well, what do I do with it? Do I just eat it straight out of the jar, or like, what do I do? And I'm like, no, you start integrating it with different dishes, integrate it into your own dishes, like into hot dogs, burgers, tacos, spaghetti, whatever it is, like your dishes, lasagna if you need to, or chili. And so that's how the book kind of came about, was, hey, I want to share my culture with you, but I want to, for you to start integrating it into your own dishes so you can get the health benefits of like the gut health and the probiotics. But I also talk about the gut brain health. And so your gut is like your second brain. And so when you add probiotics, it helps, like I said, with all the minerals, the reducing inflammation, a lot of probiotics, things like that. It helps seal the gut. And about 70% of your gut is in your immune system is about 70% in your gut. So if you have like a leaky gut, or if you're feeding your gut terrible things like processed foods, your gut doesn't know how to like process it, but then it sends signals to your brain saying, hey, I have a foggy brain, or I feel sluggish. Like when you eat fast food, I don't eat a whole lot of fast food, but when I did, I felt very lethargic and I felt very like sluggish. But why is that? It's because the foods that you put in your gut directly correlate to your brain. And another example to give you, my parents owned a restaurant. I drank a lot of soda, like a tremendous amount, because it was always available to me. And so when I was 12, I did an experiment on myself. I'm at this point, I'm already training in martial arts. So one day I drank soda, I ran 3 miles. I felt terrible. I had a headache. I felt thirsty. I felt just dehydrated. I felt sluggish. The next day I ran the same 3 miles, but this time I didn't drink soda. I drank water. And after I did that, I felt great. I felt like I can run another 3 miles. So for me, I was like, there's a big correlation between the foods that we eat to the performance that we actually can perform, like athletic wise or even brain wise, because I felt terrible after I drank soda. Same thing, I feel terrible when I eat fast food and try to go work out. It's not going to happen. But then
it doesn't.
So with that book, I wanted to educate people like, hey, your gut and your brain, there's a big relationship there, and start incorporating fermented foods. You don't have to do kimchi. You can do sauerkraut. You can do tempeh. You can do yogurt. I'm dairy free, but yogurt is kind of like a fermented food. Miso is another one. And for me, because I grew up with it, I didn't know any different. And so having that gut health is a big component that, I mean, even if you look at Korean culture, it's a big culture right now. It's a big trend, but there is a lot of science behind the fermented foods and how it helps your gut.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. And I think that's why a lot of the root function medicine doctors that I've talked with, they have said that there's a reason why we have that leaky gut.
Yeah.
Is because not enough probiotics.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make sense, like what you're saying, for the fermented food, because that's what a lot of them recommend to heal that too. But I'm just thinking, at the same time as I was listening to you about how it's easy to add something, like you said, like that kimchi to, like to chili or to different things. And then when you made that book, and then like how you're able to help people now to be, to have that healthier way of eating, because we don't typically have that healthy way, like what we've said off and on throughout the whole time here as we've been talking in all of this too. So when you were creating this, like you said, you didn't even realize, like, hey, I'm selling kimchi while I'm going to work at the same time. And then you did this recipe, and then you mentioned about how, like, the fast food, like, I've had that experience, because I'm like, I don't know how anybody can have this every single day. Like, my body, like, I've tried to do the typical American diet that the doctors sit there and say that I'm on, and I'm like, I can't do it. I don't know how anybody can have that stuff every single day. I'm like, my system was ready to be like, what are you feeding us? This is like garbage. But it's like that garbage in, garbage out. So how can a person even create a win-win mindset when they're garbage in, garbage out? but then to switch that.
Learn from those failures. The Bible says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, and be the transforming of your renewing of your mind. And so many of us are just like, we're just like on a hamster on a wheel, just like, oh, this is what everybody else does. Well, I guess this is what the normal thing is to do. But to have a win-win mindset, I mean, you have to start small, but you have to look at those trial and errors, those failures, and take a lesson from that. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. If you look at a baby, there's this trial and error. When they try to get up and walk, they keep trying and trying. They're gonna fall on their butt 100 times, but they learn something each time they get up and try to walk. Because for one, they see adults walking, they're like, okay, it's already in their mind, like, okay, I can do this too. I just don't have the strength yet. But at the same time, we don't say like, oh, the baby tried once, oh, you're never gonna walk. So many of us have like, oh, I failed at a business, or I failed how to play drums, or I failed how to do whatever. They do it once, don't extract the lesson. It's like, I'll never be good at it. Well, you've already set yourself up of you're not going to be good at it then. Well, you don't learn how to drive a car in one day. You take driving lessons. If that was the case, like, nobody would be driving, or but it takes time. It takes that repetition and consistency. And so to have that win-win mindset, failure is not the end. It's learn from those failures, and like a baby, get right back up and try again. Maybe try a different approach on it because you learned something. Same thing with like food. Hey, like, see how your body responds to different things. Like, hey, I drank a soda. Okay, this made me feel like this, or it made me stay up all night. Or how does my body respond to, eating a fruit, or versus like eating cake? Just start experimenting and learn from those experiences and start adapting the new lifestyle. And you don't have to change your lifestyle like from 180 like we did. We did because it was a life or death situation. But for the normal person, like, hey, just stop eating out at a fast food, do it 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week, and see how you feel. Like, bring your lunch 1 day a week, and then add something next week, do two days a week, and then start seeing that difference and seeing how you feel, and just experiment with it. So, yeah.
Well, I was going to say too, like what you had just said there, for that life or death experience, I wonder if more people would live like that. Like, this is like live or die. Like, if that experience alone or that mindset would help them to take action now. Because like I said, like when you and I had talked earlier, before we recorded the podcast today, one of the things that just like kept going in my mind is like, you're doing the thing. You're not letting life, you're not taking like the bad business advice that I've gotten, and I'm sure other people have gotten too. It's just wait until after you've gone through it. No, you're in it, and you're like, I'm doing everything that I most humanly possibly can through God, guiding me and pushing, maybe not pushing, but leading you. God's pushing me all the time. That's why I get the push part. As for me, but maybe God's just like, okay, he's guiding you, he's leading you, he's giving you ideas, and you're taking action. You're doing the complete opposite of like what I was told was just wait until afterwards. So what do you have for like the people that are just like, they know they should do something now, but they're not taking action, and it's just like they're stuck? And it's like you said, you're in that live or die situation with you and your wife, literally, but you're making the change. How do you keep going through that?
Celebrate small wins. Celebrate those small victories. Start small. There's this old saying or old quote saying consistency beats intensity. And if from my mind, how that works is the intensity, like, let's say you take like this giant rock, right, and you have a bucket of water. The intensity is you pour that bucket of water on that rock. Well, what happens? The rock just gets wet.
Yeah.
That's the intensity part. The consistency, but small, is you take that giant rock, but you take just one drop every single second, like one small drop from that bucket, hitting that rock. Well, after that bucket is gone, hitting that one drop every time on that rock, there's going to be a hole in that rock. So don't be intense and try to do everything at once. Start small, whatever it is, whether it be trying to change your diet or nutrition, or you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to add more exercise. I talk about this in my book. It's about habit stacking. I'll give you an example. Is like, let's say you every single day you wake up in your old school, you brew your coffee with a filter and you use coffee grounds, and it takes 2 minutes to brew, let's just theoretically say. And you can do this with anything else, but I'm just giving you an example because so many people drink coffee. Instead of, while your coffee's brewing, instead of that 2 minutes scrolling on your phone or, doing other watching TV or YouTube or shorts or whatever it is, instead of doing that, and your goal is like, hey, I want to get stronger in like physically, or I want to lose 10 pounds. That's like your goal. Well, use that 2 minutes. Well, knock out a push-up. Well, then people are like, oh, it's just one push-up, but you do it every single day. What if you brew coffee Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, same time, it's coming, it's just automatic, just add one push-up. But then, because your end goal is like, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, that one push-up adds to 365 push-ups in an entire year. And then in time, you're gonna want to do 2. Because like, oh, I have the energy to do 2 push-ups now. Then it builds up to 3. I can knock out 10 push-ups in 2 minutes now. And before you know it, you're doing like 1,000 push-ups in an entire year, just based on a habit that you already do. So start small and celebrate those wins. Like whatever it is, saying, oh, I get extra 5 minutes of Netflix or whatever because I did a push-up, or something, whatever brings you joy. And so for me, it's always starting small. Rome wasn't built in a day. I mean, God didn't build the world in a day. So
no, he took 7.
Yeah,
actually, he took 6 technically.
So, but we as humans, we want that instant gratification of like, oh, I want it now. I want that business started. I want to lose 15 pounds by tomorrow. Like, no, like unless you're like starving yourself, like, no, start small and say, I want to add 1 carrot to my lunches or 1 vegetable to my lunches, changing that diet. And so, yeah, I think starting like even really small actions and be consistent with it.
Yeah, that's the key, is not doing it long, a whole bunch at one shot. Because I know, like, for exercise, like for me getting back into it after having the children here lately and some other issues, I'm just like, okay, 5 minutes is all I can do. That's all I can do. But if I do it 3 times a day, like what I have been, I'm like, guess what? That's 15 minutes more that I would have never done it otherwise.
Exactly.
And it's just like that little bit adds up. And so like when you think about like the push-ups, like all the time, I can't do a push-up. That's okay. But I can push the wall. So you do like the wall push-ups.
Modify it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. You can sit there and now I'm thinking I could do a wall push-up while I'm waiting for the coffee.
Yeah.
Sometimes that Keurig takes a while. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, and for me, I gave another example like in the book is somebody like wants to add more like water intake into their daily habit. And so their normal habit is every morning at 7 a.m. they check their emails. But before they actually check their emails, they drink a glass of water. And so that's that habit stacking that they're doing, because their end goal is like, hey, I want to stay hydrated throughout the day. And then just drinking that 1 glass of water, and that person ends up drinking like 2 glasses of water before they check emails. And then before you know it, they're like, hey, I'm drinking like, half my body weight in ounces, and I feel great. I feel hydrated. But it starts with those small things that you're already doing, and just add it to whatever your goal is. So, and you can always modify it. You can do a wall push-up. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I always tell my kids, I'm like, don't expect me to do a push-up, but I says, maybe there's like a YouTube video that can show you how to do one, because I just physically can't. And like after all the C-sections, I'm like, I gave up after the first one. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do a sit-up again, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. So it's like, but I can do other things, like there's lots of other ways. You just got to think outside the box and get more creative on that. So if someone is listening and they feel like their dream has just died, like they get that cancer diagnosis and then they've gone through that job loss, what is something that you would say to encourage them to keep them going?
Yeah, so for us, I mean, yeah, for us, like my wife and I have dealt with infertility for 10 years. So that was always a dream there. And my wife ended up she had endometriosis and a total hysterectomy. So that was something that a dream we actually had to basically die. And honestly, like we had to let that go, but finding a new dream. I'll give you an example, because we can't have children. I have a really good friend. He has 2 children, and we just really love them like as our own children. And give you an example, yeah, we let that dream die, but my friends' kids are like, I mean, we watched them, like we babysat them like for many hours, things like that. And my friend's daughter, she's 5 now, so every time she sees me, she like just comes and runs up to me, gives me like a giant like hug around my neck, and just squeezes as hard as she can, and she's just like, I missed you. And so find those new dreams, not to replace your old dream, but like, hey, like sometimes we need to let those dreams die and let them go, and then to move on to a new dream. And we don't know what kind of impact we might have. Like, find that legacy. Legacy is not just like your own children. It might be passing your skills and knowledge to the next generation. Spend time with, and I talk about this in my book, spend time with children, spend time with like other people, and figure out what their dreams are, and like, talk about things, because it might give you an idea of like, oh, that's like a really cool dream. Like I want to do that. Like, oh, you wrote a book, like that was a dream of mine, but there was a lot of setbacks and I don't know how to do it. And so I gave that up. Well, talk to someone that like has been there, who's written a book, and, to spark your dream back up. Find like-minded people. A lot of times we kind of have this tunnel vision of like, oh, this is like the only way. But when we get outside interactions, it starts widening that window, and we're like, oh, that's a cool dream. Like, I want that dream too. And so, yeah, I mean, find a new dream.
I love that. That very much helps. And then, like, I was thinking too, is like for the legacy part, because I know like John C. Maxwell is like, for his with books, he's like, this is the legacy that he's leaving. He gets to have people read books that he'll never get to meet, or that he does get to meet some of them, but not all of them. And it's just like, you're leaving your legacy through the books that you're writing. Which I think is awesome, because it's like you're reaching so many more people than what you would have, not have reached if you hadn't wrote those books. Which is very helpful that you're out there doing that. And like I said, and so before we close our show today, what's the best way for our audience to get in contact with you?
Yeah, so to get in contact with me, you can go to my website, dkkang.com. And then I typically respond by email. My email is dk@dkkang.com. I'm on a lot of socials, but if you message me there, I'm probably not going to respond, just because I respond better with email. And if you sign up for my newsletter, it's newsletter.dkkang.com. I'm giving away the first chapter of my mindset book, Mindset Metamorphosis, as a free download. And my newsletters are basically just like life lessons that I've learned, and how you can apply them in your personal life, your work life. I've been through a lot, but I just want to share with people like, hey, this is a lesson that I learned, and hopefully that you can learn something from it as well. And both my books are on Amazon. Mindset Metamorphosis is on Amazon as a Audible, as a Kindle, and a paperback. And then the Kimchi Connection Cookbook is a paperback and the Kindle version.
Awesome. You've got your connections there to find the books, and then also for DK's website. I just love this conversation that we've had throughout this whole time of how you've got so much strength that's what I'm really admiring, like, this whole time as I've been listening, is just like the strength and the courage that you have. It's not bound. It's not an art, but it's like the characteristics are being lost in society as a whole, and it's sad because it's like we need more people that are willing to stand up and to do more, talk about their journey while they're in it, but then also, like, this is what I'm learning. And so, like, when you're putting that newsletter together, that's what I'm thinking is in that newsletter, like what you said, it's like the lessons that you've learned.
Yeah.
Which is very helpful. I was almost thinking, I'm like, you could put that all into another book too at the same time. That's like what I was thinking, is that you could take all those different newsletters, organize and put them into a book, but maybe that's an idea that you already have.
No, but you did ask me about my third book. So my third book that I'm working on is about, it's all about gratitude and how it rewires our brain. Because I feel like that's a universal language that we all do, but we don't do it enough. And I feel like gratitude can take us so far in life.
Yeah, it can. And same with forgiveness too.
Yeah.
So I just want to have everyone remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Healing for the Soul podcast, and keep coming back for more episodes. Thank you everyone for your time and your energy while listening to today's episode of
That's all for now, folks. Make sure you link to thank you for fun. Tap that follow button. Subscribe. Quack, quack. Bye-bye. Well, next time. Now you got it.